So this is the top 5 worst movies of 2021. We just did the top 5 best. And by top 5 worst, we mean top 5 most disappointing. Because we didn't see every single movie that came out. We only saw, between us, we saw 22, 23 movies. So really not that much when you think about it.
Any honorable mentions before we start?
Yeah, honorable. No, actually, I probably don't.
Just honorable mentions?
It was, to be honest, we don't go to see a lot of movies that we think are going to be bad. And a lot of them you can tell. And the last one, the 5th one on my list is one that I wouldn't even consider terrible. It's just on my list.
Disappointing.
So, you have honorable mentions?
I have a dishonorable mention.
Dishonorable mention.
Okay. Just missing my top 5 most disappointing worst films of 2021 was Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and Jungle Cruise. Those two are my dishonorable mentions: Jungle Cruise and Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage.
I guess I'll just say one. I'll say Black Widow because it was a good movie. I liked it, but it could have been that next tier. Yeah. And that, I guess, and technically it was a disappointing movie because it wasn't on the top 5 best.
So number 5 for me,
we did not
Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It was just one that I went in expecting I wanted to see a team up of Valak and the Ram and all this stuff, and then you go in and the most memorable thing was, it was pretty scary, granted, with a giant freaking naked guy running around the screen. I mean, that was scary, but was that really what I was expecting out of The Conjuring 3?
Did it keep you up at night?
Honestly, I don't know. I laugh more than I think out of it. Conjurings 1 and 2 were just absolute 10 out of 10s, and then this comes around and just, like I said, the performances of Ed and Lorraine Warren were great, but I just really think there was a lot to be desired in this film, and it's just very disappointing because this universe, I think, has so much potential, and they've really dropped the ball the last 2 editions. So yeah, that's my number 5 is Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It.
Number 5 for me is Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It. We did not plan these, but that is 5, and honestly, the main reason is just because it's forgettable. I mean, I forget a lot of this movie. I remember the main flaws I had is that they didn't freaking commit on the demon. They made the demon iffy about what it was. Was it a witch? They couldn't just commit on a scary demon they advertised. No, they couldn't commit on the thing they advertised in the freaking trailer. A scary flipping demon that looked horrifying. Yeah, and they didn't commit. And that would pee me off. And I remember it just was pretty forgettable. And
we gotta go on. We can't. Scary.
Yeah, I mean, it was just very forgettable, and that's why it's number 5. I mean, there were some things I enjoyed, but it was definitely disappointing. It deserves a number 5 spot.
Well, I think the biggest disagreement we had was one that clocks in at number 4 of my top 5 worst films of 2021. Worst / most disappointing is Nighthouse. Nighthouse for me was one that was just, it's because I gave it too much credit. I was like, okay, let's see what happens here. It's kind of a scary premise. The music playing, what's going on, a lot of questions to be answered. But then at the end, you're just like, what did I just invest myself in trying to figure out all these answers and just to be some message when that's fine, but don't introduce all these questions and really cool storylines just to say, oh no, it's all fake. Or is it
I
fake?
thought it was cool.
And then when the director says, is it fake? I don't know. Okay, well, you better know because I want to know what's going on. So very disappointing. I wanted to see more from this. Great actress that was leading the film, and it just didn't do anything for me. Number 4 for me on the most disappointing films of 2021.
I thought there were some cool things about it. I give it an 8. But
no, I disagree.
So for 4 for me is Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Because, see, I walked out of this movie, and I really liked the first Venom. But then this one came around, and I think the trailers were so amazing for it that I set too high of expectations. But I just was kind of thinking, when is this movie going to start? And that's really what I thought. Because usually, there are movies like Incredible Hulk where, it builds up to a great fight at the end. And when it got to the fight in this movie, I thought, this is it. There was something missing. I don't know what was missing, but it was kind of all over the place. There wasn't as many good fight scenes. And Venom and Eddie were funny again, but Carnage, I don't know. There was just something missing, and this was very disappointing, and it was very forgettable, and especially the tease at the end that they did totally left that. I don't know why they did that, because that effed over all our expectations for Spider-Man. But that's why it's at number 4 on this list.
Number 3 for me was yet another one that I went in with pretty excited expectations in Antlers, and I left the theater just absolutely disgusted with how they treated this amazing lore and character. They built it up amazingly with some pretty epic things going on. Such a great storyline idea. Very dark, very dark film, which I did not expect it to get as dark as it did. Really and then you get to this final climax, and the thing turns into a like the Spinosaurus and it turned into a bullseye with shingles. It turned into the Spinosaurus from the Jurassic Park Wii game, where it gets into the same. It's like it got into the same like.
She found the cheat code.
It got into the same like engine where it goes to the window and then like leans in 3 times. She like killed it. It did the same like it did the same 1-2 combo. She could stab each time. It's like this thing was like murdering her left and right, and all of a sudden she like got into the coding of the game and like just hacked it, and then it ended pretty weird with her murdering a kid. It's like
murdering a kid.
She murdered their kid, but the way they did it was really not good. And the very end was I'm just sitting there like, I mean, what the most memorable thing was one of our uncles freaking letting one go on the
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say Antlers is number 3 for me on top 5 worst / disappointing films of 2021.
Yeah, the ending was disappointing. Really quick, the ending was disappointing. I thought there was enough cool things though before that, the build up that at least made that in the middle. Number 3 for me is Jungle Cruise. Jungle Cruise for me.
Smile
was very disappointing. I mean, the villain was amazing, but it was not enough to save this movie. The Rock and Emily Blunt were really good for this role. But they just effed up too much. They pulled the wool over your eyes way too many times. They changed too many things. Really made me mad. And as much as a lot of this movie is forgettable, the things they did with changing the ride just peed me off. And there is no way in heck that this has to be on my disappointing list because they make you think, oh, they're good, they're bad, they're good, they're bad, they're good, they're bad. You think they're bad, they're good. Like, they did that so many times that it was just getting annoying. And a lot of this movie's forgettable. And even though The Rock and Emily Blunt were really good for those roles, it just didn't work. And this movie's disappointed me so much. And it's at number 3 on this list.
I think we have pretty similar 2 and 1 lists here.
I'm sure we do.
Number 2 for me is Eternals. It was a movie that just was very blah. Honestly, this movie shouldn't even have been this low for me because it's just a movie that I don't even feel like I felt. Yeah, it's not even I was like mad at it. I just like left like what the heck? Like,
yeah.
It did nothing to me. So honestly, the reason it's here is just because of the fact that it was made, and I think it's more anger out of making this film when there's a billion different movies I'd love to see the MCU do. And this is just not even in the top 1,000 of things I'd like to see them do. And the fact they just did it for the reasons that they did is just really frustrating. And I think it felt pretty flat for most people watching it. And I think that's probably why it's number 2 for me. And everything, even like this teasers at the end, I'm just like sitting there like when is this thing going to end? Anyways, that's probably that's my number 2 most disappointing worst film of 2021, Eternals.
Yeah, I have Eternals at number 2 as well. This movie was very just forgettable. And like you said, they made this movie for a specific reason, obviously with this next phase of Marvel movies, and it was just completely, the action was just not good. I said in my review I couldn't see half this movie, whether that's on the theater or not. I've heard other people say they couldn't see the movie as well. I couldn't see half the movie, so what the F am I supposed to do? A lot of the action was close up from what I remember. I was watching my review, because a lot of this I forgot until I watched it. And at the end, I'm thinking, I'm not excited to see what's next. A lot of this is forgettable, but a lot of it just was very disappointing. From a superhero movie, I mean, seeing what it can be from the Avengers, Suicide Squad, very disappointing. And this does fit on the 2 spot. There's one movie ahead of it, being worse.
Yeah, one that really stands above all the worst films I've ever seen in my life. Like, Candyman, I don't even know if I can call it a movie. It was one of the worst films I've seen in a lot of different ways.
Up there with Captain Marvel.
It's just the amount of just... Like, usually when a movie interjects BS into it, it's like, I mean, come on. It's like a line or two. Every now and then, like a big movie like Suicide Squad.
Forget about it.
They make it a big plot line. But still, percentage-wise to the movie, it's like 15%, maybe 20% if it gets like a little too much. But this movie was like 95% nonsense, 5% movie. And there's a great premise here. I mean, the original seems like a pretty cool storyline if they would have followed it accurately. And from what they did and what they did in this movie and how I left the theater, I felt disgusted. I about got sick as I was leaving the theater. I was physically ill.
I wanted a refund.
I mean, I wanted a refund for the ticket. It was just, it was one of the worst films I've seen in my life. It's by far number 1 on this list, if not my entire life. So Candyman was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, this movie was an absolute failure on every single level. I mean, we were sitting in the theater and we predicted a scene like 20, 30 seconds before it happened. I mean, literally just sat there like, she's
Brutal.
about to walk out.
Brutal.
She walks out. I mean, how do you predict a movie like that? And it's like, it's that in your face, like black, white, just trying to create all these political issues. And it's supposed to be a movie.
No.
And instead of letting it like, just
Didn't make sense either.
Instead of letting things just kind of go, oh, maybe this is what they're hinting at. It's like, no, we're saying this.
No.
We're making this dumb point. You're going to accept it. And we're just going to keep hitting you over the head with it. And in a movie where you're supposed to be entertained and it's supposed to be like a scary movie, it wasn't scary. There was one semi-scary scene, if you could call it that. Everything else is just terrible politics thrown throughout. Not an attempt to make a movie. And I'm never watching a movie produced by Braun ever again. But yeah, Candyman is the worst movie of 2021 in my opinion, and your opinion.
Yeah, it's easily the worst film of 2021. Like I said, I'm at a loss for words of how bad it actually was.
We gave it a chance. I don't know why. That was our top 5 worst movies of 2021. I hope you enjoyed the best and worst. And we will be doing a video eventually, top 5 most anticipated.
Yeah.
Still have to look up how many movies are coming out. Hopefully those movies actually come out.
Yeah.
And we'll have to really look into that to see which ones are coming out. And there's some
Jurassic.
big ones. Yep, Avatar, Jurassic. There's some big ones coming
Halloween.
out. Yep.
So big one this year. Big year.
A lot of options.
Big year for The Bachelor.
And a lot of movies get delayed into 2022. So that video will be coming soon. A lot of movies to pick from. Look forward to that coming soon.
Yep. Thanks for watching, guys. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.